So the movie starts with these two young dudes, Tequil and Songpal Takyo. He's got this blonde hair and all, just bought a second-hand motorbike online. But turns out the bike's a total mess, and a Kang salmon. So they're trying to get it going again, and out of nowhere, these tough guys show up and wreck the motorbike's rearview mirror with some kicks. Now Tech is pretty steamed, so if he goes all wild and tries to chase those thugs, but he's riding like a maniac and the police notice him because of that crazy riding. But Takiel's bike is acting up, so he crashes into something and takes a tumble. Next thing, you know, Techiel and Songpil are at the police station. Tekel's mom shows up and starts giving him an earful for blowing his school money on that bike. And Techiel drops a bombshell. He wants to drop out of school because he thinks his mom can't afford his tuition. His mom used to be a pro volleyball player, by the way. Well, that just sets her off and she slaps him for saying that. It really hurt her feelings. Foreign, who's kind of fed up with the life his mom's been planning for him, decides to make a run for it. He doesn't really have a plan and just pockets $10 before hopping on a random bus heading. Who knows where back at home, his mom's sweating it, trying to call him, but Tekel's not picking up his phone either. Even though she's been tough on him deep down, she just wants him to have a better life than she did. That's why she's been working her tail off to pay for his college, but it looks like Tico doesn't quite get what she's aiming for and decides to leave her hanging. Now Tequil ends up on a bus, bound for a little town called Gunsan, up in North Jala province. After he gets off the bus, he bumps into this fiery red-haired girl named Kyungju, and boy, she's mad as a hornet. She actually punches him in the gut because he ticked her off somehow after wandering around feeling tired and hungry. Tekel spots this noodle joint that's got some cheap grub. He's all like, yes please, and goes inside. He meets the guy who runs the place named Gon. He's just about to dive into a $3 bowl of noodles when a delivery guy strolls in and heads to the kitchen. But things get a bit hectic in there, and Techiel takes off looking all curious, but too shy to ask what's up. He ends up crashing at a public bathhouse thinking about what to do next. Meanwhile, Songpil's living with his grandma, and she's making a living by some food for Kyungju, and she returns his shoes. But when she tries to pay for the meal, Tequil won't hear of it now. This is the part where Techiel finally gets his first paycheck and decides it's time to treat everyone gong. The noodle shop owner suggests that Techiel should visit his mom from time to time. Takio kind of ignores it, and that's when Gosok gives him a good hard smack on the face and lays down some tough advice. It seems to get through to Techiel, and he finally decides to pay his mom a visit, but when he gets home, he finds a note saying his mom's at work. He bumps into Songpil, and it's like they're catching up after Aegis. Tequil tells Songpil he should quit that lung shark and debt collector gig, because it's not safe, but Songpal he's not too keen on listening to Tekio's advice. So Techiel pays his mom a visit, and she's running a little bakery now, a place she bought for a steal. He spills the beans about working at that noodle joint in Guns and City, but his mom, she ain't too thrilled. See it, she worked real hard to put him through school and wants him back home hitting the books. Technical though goes against her wishes and leaves her his first paycheck before taking off. After Tackle is gone, this fella shows up to see his mom and drops a bombshell. Turns out the building where her bakery is located was illegally built by the previous owner, and it's gonna get bulldozed soon. A few days later, Songpil gets sent to collect a debt from a shop owner, but it goes south real quick. He gets a beatdown so bad that he ends up in the hospital. On another front, Techiel has a run-in on the road. A car accidentally knocks his bike over and he takes a spill. Turns out the driver is one of the guys who messed with Kyungju. Speaking of Kyungju, she finally lands a gate as a waitress at a noodle shop, and Gong, the owner, is a real gem. He finds out she's got no place to stay, so he offers her his late daughter's room to welcome her on board. They all hit up a karaoke joint for a bit of fun. So Techiel's back from that karaoke place, and he crosses paths with the guy who messed him up before. He's all fired up for some revenge, but turns out he's still no match for the dude, and he gets knocked down, but Ghost Soak steps in and gets creative, smearing the guy's face with chips. Meanwhile, Songpal's out of the hospital and ready to settle the score with the guy who beat him up, but he's having second thoughts and realizes his actions weren't right. Not long after, the guy who messed with Techiel shows up at the restaurant with a bunch of his thug buddies. They start causing chaos, and even the ashes of Gong's daughter's cremation gets scattered. Ghost Soak can't hold back anymore, and unleashes his fury on those thugs, pounding them to a pulp. Here's where things get interesting. Techiel and his co-workers learn that Gosok used to be a big-time gangster boss, respected even by the police. Back in the day, he had a run-in with a rival gang and saved Gom, who was on the brink of ending it all after losing her daughter. Gosso convinced her to keep going, and he left the gangster life behind to start fresh as a cook at Gong's place. But after all this chaos, Go-Suk's old gang shows up at the diner led by a guy named Tayson. They want Go-Suk back in the gangster game, 'cause rival gangs are causing trouble in their territory. Realizing his presence could put Gong and the others at risk, Go-Suk decides to head back to his old life as a gangster. Boss, Gong understands his choice and tells him he's always welcome back. Tackle, though, is crushed by Go-Suk's departure. Turns out he considered him like family, even though they bickered and got into scrapes all the time, and Go-Suk often mocked and beat him. So Songpel spots that Taekyeol's mom's bakery has been sealed up, and he rings Taekyeol to give him the lowdown. The next day, Taekyeol and Kyungju head straight to his mom's place. She spills the beans that she got hoodwinked by the previous building owner who bought the land illegally. Taekyeol, he's frustrated with all his mom's troubles, so he rings up Go-Suk for some help, but Go-Suk tells Taekyeol to step up and figure it out on his own. Meanwhile, Go-Suk pays a visit to the headquarters of a rival game, trying to make peace and get them to stop stirring up trouble and respect each other's turf. When they turn down the offer, Go-Suk has no choice but to take matters into his own hands. He takes on the whole gang by himself and comes out on top, putting an end to their shenanigans. Now here's a real twist. Debt collectors show up at Taekyeol's mom's bakery demanding payment. Taekyeol and Songpil trying to stop them. But here's where things get complicated. See, these debt collectors are from the same office where Songpil works, and Taekyeol jumps to conclusions thinking Songpal set a trap for his mom. But his mom clears things up, saying she didn't borrow. Meanwhile, Go-Suk heads back to his chef gate at Gong's diner. On the other hand, Kyungju officially becomes Gong's adoptive daughter and heads back to school. The movie wraps up with Taekal taking his mom for a spin on a used motorbike he bought. And that's a wrap. So the moral of the story is sometimes it takes a wild ride and a few punches to realize that family and the simple things in life are more important than chasing a rebellious dream.